We're at the bottom of the bluffs here on East Shop, and just up above us is the road that's very close to the top of the edge of the bluff here. There at one point in the 1800s was tennis courts on this side of the road. Obviously they are gone. We have lost a lot of the area of the bluff.
We're standing on a portion of the East Shop Bluff, quite an eroded portion, as a matter of fact, as you can see. Now we're in some serious danger of the bluff being pretty much blown away in a storm.
You can see here where it has been filled in with soil up higher. You can see the Rosa rugosa, this wild rose. You can see how the roots have held things on the top in the soil, but down below it, it's just the old asphalt and concrete that was poured down here many years ago. That this would help stabilize it. You can see how this bank has not held up. The grasses, the Rosa rugosa, even poison ivy helps maintain these bluffs and protect it from erosion during storms. It's the root structure that we need to hold the dirt and sand in place.
We live on an island, and as a result of climate change, the sea is rising, and also we're going to be getting stronger and more frequent storms that are going to cause more flooding and coastal erosion, and we have to, as an island, address this issue because our shoreline really is our economy. That's where people come to recreate and spend money, and we want to minimize the potential loss of life and property destruction and environmental damage caused by severe flooding and storms. That's the reason we're looking into this whole project. This is a fascinating map because not only does it show the floodplain, but it shows these little red dots are all the houses that are located in the 100-year flood zone in the town of Oak Bluffs. And I tried to count these yesterday, and there were over 200 structures in the flood zone. Coastal Zone Management has started a program called the Storm Smart program to address all these issues, and Oak Bluffs was fortunate enough to be chosen as a pilot town for this project. And what they're doing is they're providing the town with technical assistance and outreach to help us do what we think is the best thing to do for our town to address these problems. And what the town of Oak Bluffs is going to end up doing is developing a comprehensive shoreline and floodplain bylaw so we can update all our regs and pull them all together and address flooding and coastal erosion and all the issues that are going to be happening on our island, and they're going to be happening soon. They already are happening, actually. And I'm so glad one of the island towns got chosen because we can take the information that we learned from this Storm Smart program and other towns can apply it to their shorelines. There's not a lot of information out there at the federal level or even at other state levels that are addressing this yet. So we're kind of in the forefront of this in a way. Voters in Oak Bluffs at a special town meeting very generously gave the town money to hire an engineer to determine the stability of the seawalls and the roadway on Seaview Avenue from the harbor, from the North Bluff down to Farm Pond. And as we were getting ready to start that project, the Bay Beach seawall collapsed. So we had to change direction and turn around and look at how to resolve that. And what we decided to do as a town was to not replace the seawall, but to restore the original coastal bank system that was there originally. So that was a very interesting project, and we learned a lot about soft engineering and soft structures and how they work better on beaches than hard structures in terms of erosion control and flood control. The seawalls that are there have been there for a long time, and they're very old. They're very much past their due date. The town does have funding from the State Department of Conservation and Recreation to hire an engineer to design a new plan to replace this seawall. We are also very fortunate that the town was generous enough to allow more funding to go further on this study and do some things that the state and the federal government agencies told us we needed to do in order to get permits for these kinds of projects and funding. And one of those things was a study of the sediment transport along the coastline and the littoral drift. And we're just getting started on that now, and that information is going to be very helpful in telling us exactly how the sand moves, and that will help us figure out where we want to re-nourish and how much sand we think we need to put there. Beaches will always have to be replenished again and again with sand because they call beach nourishment projects projects that are designed to fail, because the sand is going to move down the system. But one of the best options, I think, for a lot of the beaches on this island would be to find a source of sand so we can keep renourishing our beaches. This is Lower East Chop Drive, and it is a barrier beach. We're standing on a road that runs through this barrier beach. We have the outer Vineyard Haven Harbor on one side of us and Crystal Lake on the other side.
If this beach and road is inundated and submerged, we will see some drastic changes within the habitat of the freshwater pond. You know, you would start losing all the freshwater plants and animals that live in the pond, and gradually it will be turned more and more into the habitats and so forth of a coastal pond. If you look down behind me, you can see the rose rugosa and the other woody plants along the edge of the road. This is one of those low-lying areas that is in danger of being lost. And this is one of the areas that we need to protect. My primary responsibility with the town is to manage the natural resources, especially the shellfish for the town. But come part and parcel to that, we're also looking at protecting the shore, the barrier beaches, and protecting the shore, protecting the valuable coastal embayments within the town. And the town needs to start looking at ways that we can protect the resources within the town and start planning now for sea level rise, climate change, and looking at more severe storm protection is paramount for the town.
We're here at the top of the East Chop Lighthouse. The reason we're up here at the lighthouse is because it's just stunning to me whenever I come up here to look over Crystal Lake and into the harbor, the Vineyard Haven Harbor, and see how fragile the land really is. And it is very frustrating. You go to these conferences, you can go to 10 seminars on climate change and sea level rise, and then you come back here and you talk about it and people think you're crazy. It's hard for people to understand, and I think I drive my husband nuts talking about it. And he's just...
If we ignore the problem and do nothing, and we even get a small percentage of predicted sea level rise, we will lose some of our infrastructure.
And the scariest part is that here we are, we live on an island and the sea level is rising. We couldn't be more vulnerable to sea level rise and the impact of stronger and more devastating storms. It's frightening, and it's hard to care about sometimes because it's invisible.